Welcome.
Suicide Squad is here. Positive reviews, negative reviews, our take, backstage drama. The fallout begins here.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's DC Movie News.
I'm glad you're dead.
I don't know. Well, that's...
my cock's explode.
That
Can I help you?
Took it a step further. Well, we mentioned the fallout in the intro. That's the fallout, guys. Thanks for watching. Is the chair broken?
Did you hurt yourself?
I'm okay.
He's all right.
I'm okay.
He's all right. We're okay. Here we
Welcome.
go.
I just watched it on the playback. Your flip-flop flew up in the air. All right, welcome everyone to the DC Movie News Show right here on the Popcorn Talk Network. Roxy's face is priceless as Adam falls back. Wow. Okay.
Did I look concerned? Because I tried to fake. I was acting concerned.
Yeah, it was the
Breakfast show, y'all.
Breakfast.
DC Movie News.
No matter where you are watching in the world, we appreciate you. Make sure you retweet us right now if you're watching live. Want to get this room jam-packed.
Let's do
we
it.
all have seen Suicide Squad. The three of you saw it on Tuesday. I saw it last night.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. At DC Movies SK on Facebook and Twitter. And right now, let's just get into it because we have a lot to talk about.
But Johnny,
what up?
we want to start with non-spoilers for people out there.
Oh, that's
so
right,
if you
yes.
guys are watching right
yeah.
now, we're going to start with some
There's
non-spoilers.
a limited time of spoiler-free buffer zone.
Right,
it's a
so
little
you're
buffer zone.
still chill if you haven't seen the movie right now. But
We'll
we'll
tell
let
you
you know
when.
when you're not chill anymore.
Sounds
Because
good.
it's not cool to not be chill.
All right.
Right.
No
Chill
tough
is
shit.
cooler than chill. Cool.
Let's do some intros.
So
I gotta
Bummer.
say, if you're watching this right now at
Yeah.
10 a.m. or 1 o'clock on the East
That's
Coast,
right, yeah.
or 6 o'clock in England, or 5 o'clock, whatever it is, I gotta think you probably took advantage of your Thursday night shows and saw the film.
You would hope.
I mean, we've had people that watch this show and listen to this show have been commenting constantly. I know I've been in contact with people like Jack Fern, shout out, who's hardly working on his or working hard on his Killing Joke review, and also had a lot to say. I think a lot of our fans, overwhelmingly positive responses to Suicide Squad so far.
It is amazing to see because we saw it Tuesday night. The press screenings the reviews came out Tuesday morning. So I had let those affect me a little bit going in.
Wait, hold on.
Mikey.
I cut Johnny off, though, and he was going to introduce us. So
Yeah,
We're doing the throwing over?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also it's really cool because this looks like it's on my shirt right now. I see that in the YouTube
it's so
video. It looks
cool.
like Batman's on my shirt. Does everybody see that?
Batman's on your shoulder. All right, find me on Twitter at JQuasso. That man right there, he's the host of Man vs. Child, an FX movie download. Find him on Twitter at Adam Gertler because he's Adam Gertler.
Good to be back, guys. It's been a couple of weeks. We had Comic-Con. I've been doing sausage party stuff. It's so good to be here. We got to watch a DC movie together, and now we're here to talk about it.
Yes.
We are this man right here, very talented actor in DC Encyclopedia, and the host of Character Corner, who took care of every single character in the Suicide Squad. Find him on Twitter at Mike Kalinowski because he's Mike Kalinowski.
Good morning, everybody.
What's
Good
up?
morning. I feel like this is back in college for me. I hated getting up early.
Wow.
But here we are, so I'm kind of half out of it.
You don't look hungover this time.
That is
I'm
not
not
the
hungover.
way.
I'm not hungover.
Listen,
I'm not hungover. It's just
it's
if I'm
10
not
a.m.,
working,
sir.
That's early for me. Unless I'm
boy.
working, I like to take my morning and kind of get going. I'm a night owl. I am a night owl. I went to bed at 3 o'clock last night.
Hey-o, there you go.
Yeah.
We got people
But we're
talking.
here. We're here. I'm
people
up.
talking about the Ostrander Easter egg, the John Ostrander
Let him introduce
building.
Can I
me.
introduce the woman first,
I mean,
please, sir?
this is all part of the build-up.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's
It's like
talk
a,
about...
it's like a little side game. Now we go back.
Wonderful. Well, let me introduce the crown jewel of the DC Movie News Show. She's also the host of TV Fights on Screen Junkies, and she's known to be quite vexing. Find her on Twitter at Roxy Striar because she's Roxy Striar.
What?
No, I'm not gonna say it.
What are you going to say?
I'm not gonna say it.
All right.
He knows. He's like,
What? I
Chop
don't
it
know
up a
what
bit.
you guys are saying, but
because she's
I'm
Roxy
excited
Striar.
to be
She's the
here.
crown jewel, and I was like, she's also a
Vexing.
vexing.
like Harley.
Okay, I'm also vexing like Harley. Apparently I am.
I don't even know what vexing is. I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
I would argue that more people think that you're more vexing.
I was going to do like a whole...
I am
You stole my
vexing.
thing.
I vex.
You stole it because he introduced me and I had something I was going to say, but then you started talking about it was my turn to
Chalk
talk.
up to the list of things I pissed people off
I don't
with.
remember what it was going to be now, though. But I'm so excited to talk about Suicide Squad because we saw it. We saw it together. Johnny, you couldn't come with us that night, but
No, I
I'm
could
really
not.
excited to hear your thoughts. We've had a few texts back and forth, but we really tried to save it for the show.
That's right. It's
Even
all fresh.
afterwards, I didn't even want to talk to you guys too much about
It's
it.
interesting. I avoided all internets before I saw the movie.
All of the internets?
Yes,
The
all of the
internets.
internets, all of them. The only feedback I got was from you guys on Tuesday night, and it was interesting because Mikey's feedback at first was kind of like, meh, but I was like, okay, I'm not going to let it affect me, and I went in and I watched the movie, and I'm glad I didn't watch any reviews or read any reviews beforehand. So here's how we're going to do this. Do we want to do DC news that has nothing to do with Suicide Squad first, or just get right into the movie?
I think we should get into the meat of the movie because I think
we
people
should.
are here to
Yeah.
hear
But
about the movie.
non-spoilery.
I don't know. I mean, I
Yes.
think...
Because it's DC movie news, and if they haven't seen it and they want a show, let's do a
Yeah,
little bit
then they can
non-spoiler.
wait.
No, okay, I've made a decision, and I'm the crown fucking jewel.
Whoa!
Oh!
Whoa!
That's a Robert De Niro. Oh!
Sorry.
Or an Andrew Dice Clay, either one. All right.
Boy.
So at what
Sorry,
point
guys.
can I talk about spoilers?
After we say, we're going to tell them that there's spoilers.
Spoilers. Okay,
But no-
going on. All right, just said it. It just happened.
All right,
going on.
let's get right into it. Bottom line is, overall
I'm a killer.
thoughts and opinion of the film, 60 seconds each. We're going to start with Adam Gertler. Go.
Okay, 60-second opinion on the film. I think, overall, yes, a good time was had. There's plenty of good things about this film. I want to see a lot of these characters continue to play in the DCEU. It does feel a little bit like that the people are congratulating the film. It's a little bit like, oh, DC, like, good job, good job. I feel a little bit like the positive praise is like me whenever I would go to swing the bat in Little League, and I never got a hit, I think, in like 8 years. And they were like, good,
Never once?
good cut. Good cut, Adam. Good swing.
you
No,
swung-
I don't think ever once.
swung in the right
so
direction.
that I feel like there's a little bit of that going on. It's like the slow kid at the it's like, oh no, it was fun, but it's not blowing anybody's minds. You know what I mean? There's some great things about it. I really like the Joker. I liked Deadshot. I liked Harley Quinn, but there's a lot that I'm not a fan of. So
Okay.
we'll get more into
That's fair. Roxy.
I thought a lot of the movie was very strong. I laughed so frequently, which I
Good
think
job.
is really good.
Good job. No. Some of it was really, really strong. You did a really good job.
My turn to speak.
I know.
I enjoyed the candy beforehand, eating the candy throughout and getting a drink beforehand. I think that helped. It was more of a popcorn flick than I was expecting. I was kind of sitting there. The sugar was nice. The little buzz was nice. And I did enjoy my movie-going experience, maybe because I was with these two very handsome gentlemen right here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But
How about the two people next to us who walked out like 10 minutes
Yeah,
into
the
the
two
movie?
people-
I don't think
So-
they knew what they were getting into.
What was that about?
Was
there
it a kid there?
No,
No,
it
it
was
was
two
like a
adults.
couple.
They walked out, but we can
So
talk.
weird.
Yeah, that was bizarre. In general, I thought that Will Smith and Margot Robbie had incredible chemistry. I loved them, and I thought they were the best parts in the movie. I think that some people might have been miscast, or some of the writing might have been a little off. I think this was my favorite of the three that they've released so far. So that's definitely saying something.
Okay.
I would have to see it again to solidify that, but so far, this is coming in first, and I definitely can say without a doubt in my mind that it does not deserve a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that what it got?
I think it's lower than that now.
It's getting.
It's in the 20s.
No, it's 27 with BVS 27. So
Yeah,
people
it's
are
right
just like,
there.
come on, what is going on?
At
Yeah.
this point, it's almost like a flash mob of
But
people
listen,
that are
you
going
gotta
to
understand,
Rotten
like,
Tomatoes.
that's just, again, it's how many reviews are positive versus negative. It doesn't say how negative they are. It doesn't necessarily reflect how negative people are responding to it. It just means that they teeter on the side of more negative than positive.
Right, and I don't think that 70% of the people should be teetering on more negative than positive.
Absolutely. Well, Mikey, what do you
Yeah,
think?
but so I went in having read some non-spoiler reviews, and it really tempered me going in. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go through what I went through with BVS again, and the hate lashed out. And people, for some reason, and my friends too, they like to, when this movies don't do well with DC, they throw it at me like I created these movies
Right.
myself.
Like you're getting
it's
the
gonna-
paycheck.
Well, I
Yeah.
hear you did you not?
Well, Anyway, so I got out of it. After the movie, I was like, I liked it. It was good. It was good. It was fun. There's some problems.
Yeah.
Saw it again last night. And I saw it with a crowd that didn't care about reviews. They were just people were laughing and cheering. Like you guys saw me. There were 3 or 4 times where I cheered out loud for stuff that happened
we
in that
definitely
movie.
did, especially
That
in the
I
beginning
loved,
too.
And I was like, it's messy. There's some messy stuff, but now hearing all these editing things that WB got gun shy and went in and started trying to fiddle with it, you see where some of it got muddled. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a great step forward. It's not part of the course correction that happened after BVS. This movie was done, so they couldn't change stuff. But you see, it filtered so well. Even though he's a cameo, Batman stuff was an evolution of the character from BVS.
Yeah,
and we'll get into that more. I enjoyed it. There were certain characters that I wanted to love that I absolutely hated. There were 2 acting choices that I was just like, oh my god, this is terrible. Mm-hmm. And then there's a surprise, El Diablo. I thought he was just going to be kind of...
What?
Okay.
I'm not talking spoilers. I'm
right.
talking
I
what
just
I
got
like.
nervous.
There you go.
Okay.
No, El Diablo, I thought he was going to be kind of a throwaway.
Well, later on in the show, I think we're going to go over our favorite characters. For sure.
Okay, then I'll stop.
For me, I actually did not watch. Had no popcorn, no snacks, no soda.
No snacks?
No, nothing.
He's a popcorn dude.
When it's a
You
me
should see-
too.
Oh,
Me
you
too.
should see my bag of popcorn and soda.
Here's the thing: when it's a movie that I really want to know if I'm going to be invested in, I purposely will watch with nothing except a little water, a little sippy cup of water. That's all I do. Right?
Sippy cup?
Well, not a sippy cup.
You bring
Well,
in a legitimate sippy cup?
No, I get
Did it
one of
have
those little
Squad
tiny
on it?
cups that they give you when they're mad because you don't buy a soda. One of those cups.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So I want to know whether or
So
not a movie's going to keep
plastic
me
cup.
invested. I look at things very simply. Will the movie keep me invested the entire time? Yes. And this movie absolutely did. I enjoyed it throughout. And some of the stuff that you guys didn't like, I didn't really have as much of a problem with, which we'll get into. And that is kind of more along the casting choices, character choices. But overall, I really did enjoy the film. And it's what cracks me up is, most of the people that are on our Twitters are very positive. They're really into it. I think we have intelligent fans. But the trolls that want to tweet at us just negative things about the movie, it's like we didn't make the movie. If you're gonna get pissed off and
I just want to just interrupt, if I can, for 1 second.
Yeah.
That Ahmed Faraz had nachos, popcorn, and a large Coke.
Nice.
He's laughing on the floor.
No. Do you know what that means? That's not...
Oh, he's... Okay, oh God.
Yeah.
He's laughing his fucking ass off, isn't he?
Laughing.
Yeah.
He's enjoying himself.
Because he
think
thinks
they
your
went
sippy
laughing
cup
on the
is...
floor?
Yeah. I just imagine if he's laughing his ass off,
Remember
he's
rolling
on the floor.
Right.
laughing?
Oh,
But it doesn't
It's
say
a thing
that.
I do for myself. Sometimes I'll watch a movie with nothing just to make sure I enjoy it. My point
Sippy
is,
cup.
if you're gonna follow us on Twitter and say negative things about Suicide Squad, guess what? We don't care what your opinions are if you're gonna hate. That's my point. Go
Well,
hug something.
so
Okay,
I
go
actually
hug
disagree.
someone instead of getting mad.
I disagree.
I
don't care if you say negative things, but some of the people are shouting things at us and saying these awful things.
Can
we
you
made
Twitter
the movie.
shout?
You did.
Because I feel like you can Twitter
can
shout.
use-
You
It's like,
you
I don't
caps
need-
it all.
Yeah.
Like shouting at
I'm
someone.
not gonna respond to it. So just don't even bother.
You could tweet it at me. I get enough hate tweet already, so I'll just take all those.
Yeah,
Leave
it's just
Johnny out of
stupid.
it.
It's like be an
respond.
adult,
I don't
Yeah.
respond.
All right. Should we... Now I know that Adam wants to go there. Should we now go into our spoilers?
I think it's okay.
Okay. Spoiler alert!
It's coming up.
Spoiler alert!
It's coming up. That was very close.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert!
Got it.
Thank you, Mark. So now, guys, is the part where we talk about spoilers. So I don't want to see any comments in the YouTube video below saying, I can't believe they talked about spoilers. We're talking
Okay.
about spoilers now.
Can we go around and talk about the characters?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Just a
Now
quick
can I-
impression of the characters?
Let's start
Okay,
with Harley.
let's start off.
start with Harley.
Ladies first.
You want to start with Harley?
You don't want to?
That's what... Hey, you call it. You got it. Starting with Harley.
Crown Jewel's
Because
calling
I'm the
it.
Crown Jewel?
Go for it.
Is that why?
You're the crown jewel. You make the
Love
call.
hearing you say it. All right,
Give it
starting
a
with
rating,
Harley.
however you want to do.
Starting with Harley, she was amazing. I was really nervous going into this because of how much hype there was around her. We had already talked about her getting her standalone movie. We had already talked about how she was incredible. Everybody from the second she was cast was on board with her. There seemed to be no hesitation across the board. So going into this, expectations are very high. I feel like she met every one of my expectations. I thought she was sexy. I thought she was crazy. I thought she was wild. I thought she was unpredictable. I thought that she made the character her own while also being true to the comics. I loved her performance. It was definitely top 2 performances in the film for me, if not the number 1 performance.
Adam?
That's great. Yeah, I really enjoyed whenever Harley Quinn was on the screen. I will say, listen, obviously on this team, if I'm Amanda Waller, everybody on this team seems to have incredible powers and be like a metahuman, and then you get a girl that just happens to be crazy. But okay, okay, her special power is crazy. It's kind of like Captain Furious and the Mystery Men a little bit, in that that's her special power, just because everybody else has got a special power. Even Deadshot is kind of a metahuman in this, right? I mean, but that being said, I mean, yeah, she's great. And listen, I loved her relationship with her other person, and it was one of my favorite things about the film as well. She's great.
You're talking about
She's a good
with Joker?
actress. Yeah, but we're not talking about him yet.
Okay. I just didn't know if you were talking about Deadshot.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Oh.
Mikey?
Yeah.
I don't have anything bad to say. I think she nailed it. I think she held her own in her fight scenes. She was a fantastic fighter, so she wasn't, they didn't shortchange her on that. What I loved about this character in this take is it almost seems like this film, she doesn't need the Joker. She is a independent woman on her own. This Joker needs Harley. It's the impetus.
He'd go to the end of
for his whole movie.
yeah.
But he will do anything, and she's just kind of like, oh well, this Deadshot guy. I thought
So you feel love triangle there?
There was a little bit of that going on where you saw the Joker. He needs her. This is my girl. I have to have her in my life. And she's just kind of like, I love my Joker, but if he's not there, she was stronger than we've seen her before. I think I loved it. I thought the hard thing with her and Batman when he's in the car trying to pull her out. Phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal. He tries to help her. She tries to cut him with the knife.
Right, yeah. Under the water.
Punches her. I was like, so good.
Yeah, I'm with you. This character is very, very difficult to do because at the same time you want to make her a powerful woman, but you can't forget she's brainwashed by Joker. I think Harley Quinn was able to do it as perfectly as she could have. There's no such thing as perfect, so I'm going to say 9 out of 10 if I had to rate it. Throughout the film, she did a great job of teetering on the brink of insanity, then kind of coming back to it, then going back to the craziness, and also just being a badass who could just beat up anybody and just crush them.
Now, did you guys find that they sexualized her like everyone was complaining about? I didn't feel that at all in this film.
Not really.
I mean, she is wearing fishnet stockings and very short shorts the entire film.
Right? I mean, that's the character.
Yes, I think Enchantress was pretty sexualized too, as I told you.
Oh gosh. Oh, stop. Just stop.
For our audio listeners, Adam's doing a little jig right now.
Stop.
Doing the Enchantress dance.
Jig is a strong word.
So going back to something you just said about Harley, though, because I feel like because this is more from her perspective than it was from the Joker's, and she got infinitely more airtime, maybe we don't know the extent of which she does need the Joker, because when we did see when she thought he was dead, she let herself have her first vulnerable moment of the entire movie. So I was happy to see it, even though there might be a slight imbalance, but it seems like they both are on similar pages at most of the time.
Or it could have just been for this film.
Right.
That's what she was portraying, so that they didn't know that how much she was into him.
Exactly.
We don't know more, but I love what we see so far into this.
And I don't know if there is going to be any sort of love triangle, but I thought that from this movie, they were clearly trying to show us that she does have chemistry with Deadshot. Whether we want to take that as a sexual chemistry or
brother, sister,
whatever it is up to us. But I do think that they were trying to build that relationship even more than they were trying to build the Harley Joker one.
And I think you could see where they said, after seeing this film, WB was like, solo movie, we need her, because she was great.
Yeah, she was great.
She's fantastic.
And since you brought up Deadshot, why don't we move on to him? Overall feelings on Will Smith playing Deadshot?
Well, I gotta say, I really, really liked Deadshot a lot. I mean, I thought this was one of my favorite things that I've seen Will Smith do in a long time. He looked great. He was lean and cut, and he was doing his thing. It was definitely a Will Smith Deadshot. If I had to say a negative, the one thing I would say is I didn't quite buy his hatred for the Bat. In the end, he's he has that fantasy of killing the Bat. I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy that his hatred for Batman was so baked into his character. Maybe because he's so likable as Will Smith, it's really hard to buy that kind of hatred in him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Completely, but because that's what the second we walked out of the film, when I turned to you and said, I said, it's very strange to me that at the end, when we see all of their desires, instead of seeing him with his daughter, instead of that being what Enchantress puts in mind, it's him killing the Bat.
And they spent the whole time, feeding us the daughter stuff.
Right.
That's his story.
So I thought that the daughter was the desire more, and yes, we did get that Batman moment, but I didn't know, based on this story and what they told us alone, I didn't know where that rivalry was coming from, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We could totally explore that in a different movie. But I was more focused on his relationship with his daughter than his hatred for Batman.
Now, this goes to what a lot of my friends have said about me now that I've come to realize is seeing these films, I I put so much thought into what the characters are, knowing already, but not general audiences don't see that stuff. Where
Right.
I'm like, I'm putting this imaginative thing of the story and what's going on there. And now the fact we know Batman's been around 20 years, to me, and they said, so this Batman has been in these people's lives for however long. So Deadshot is basically, I can't do what I do well because this effing guy's out there always stopping
All
me.
of them. All of
All
them
the
have been
villains do it.
dealing with Batman. And,
Right.
But
So
he
he's like-
is the one who, that's the dream.
Because he's like, I will finally be able to live my life, make my living, killing people for my daughter to provide. This guy won't be there anymore. But we don't know that because we haven't gotten that. But I'm inferring that. And it's
Yeah,
of two minds. I'm allowed to do that because it's who I am. But also general audiences have a problem with that because they don't show that.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I think that's the problem with BVS, where a lot of people, and I bashed heads on, because I'm inferring all these things like, yo, you're assuming this, Mike. And I'm like, well, makes sense, doesn't it? And they're like, well, we don't know that.
I completely
Right.
understand what you're saying, and none of this, by the way, has to do with Will Smith's performance because that was written into this. This was part of the plot.
What did you think, Johnny? What did you
Well,
think
let me
of
finish
Will?
on Deadshot.
Yeah. So
I thought he was I haven't seen Will Smith in a very long time be the Will Smith I love. Back from when he used to open up a July 4th weekend movie. And this is Big Willie, what they used to call him, him coming back. He
Big
killed
Willie
it.
style.
Charismatic as anything.
he was top 2 performances for me.
Yeah,
Also,
he was a
amazing.
surprise. I was like, it's Will Smith. He's going to give the same old Will Smith shtick that he used to do. But not at all.
And in the trailers, I felt like he did.
That scene where Waller puts his guns in front of him and he's just kind of like, holding, he was so good.
Yeah, I agree.
He really was, especially
John.
when he bam right in the guy's face.
Oh.
It was no After Earth, but it was a contender.
You shut your mouth.
Good point. No, I was actually surprised at the vulnerability that Will Smith showed. Being Floyd Lawton, I was really into that, and I don't know. I love Will Smith. I'm from Pennsylvania. I grew up listening to Will Smith
Were you
as
buddies?
a little kid.
Oh, you
no,
were.
we didn't know each other, but Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were like the first hip hop I really got into, and so I've been a Will Smith fan forever, and I always will be. But I was even pleasantly surprised with how really good he was playing Deadshot. So I mean, if I'm gonna rank it, I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10 because I think
Will Smith.
Yeah, because I mean, it's gonna be hard to top what Harley did because she really, really embraced that.
She had
character.
more to play with than he did, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna say, well, really enjoyed Deadshot. Should we move right on to Joker or the
Sure.
other rest of the squad? First?
No, let's go back. Let's go back and talk about some of the minor ones
Let's do the
instead of
squad.
getting all the big ones
let's
out.
get the
Let's go. Let's
squad.
start with Slipknot.
Well, I mean,
Well, here's the thing.
I called it.
Here's the thing. I just want to say this just kind of leads me into a general thought I had about this movie. Was I compared it to, Kill Bill Volume 1. I think is such a great example of a movie that's about villains that's done so well because Quentin Tarantino builds the legend of the characters that you then see unfold before you. And, people have talked about this film in terms of that it's more character driven, not as plot driven, because it's not. But I thought that they came up short on building the legend of some of these characters. I think there's a lot of mythology that the audience is forced to digest very quickly without telling you why. And I think that the why, to me, is a lot of the fun. Like spending a lot of time with one character for a whole movie can be a lot more fun. Now, I know it can work because they do it with like the Dirty Dozen, but like it just seemed like a lot, and a lot of characters got short shrift.
I love that word. Short shrift.
Yeah.
I love it.
Slipknot, you could have at least given him an intro when Amanda Waller was explaining, because to me, the fact that she didn't even intro the guy
Told you
was
right
a sure
away.
giveaway. And it's like, I want to at least, that was a good opportunity to like get us invested in something and then snatch it out from under us. Instead, it was broadcast from a million miles away and he had nothing to do.
Well, he was broadcast from the beginning of the, we just knew
But you
this
could
guy.
have faked this out a little
But on the other hand, that character, there is no backstory for him. He is a guy that worked at a
I don't think
chemical
anybody
company.
cares about El Diablo either, but clearly David Ayer does.
Well, he resonated with him, that character.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Slipknot worked
And
at
that
a
was an
chemical
unexpected,
company
important
to
character.
create ropes that couldn't be broken. You had to have the patsy that was going to show Amanda Waller, and then we're serious. He was it. Served his purpose. Goodbye.
Right.
So, he was.
I feel not one way or the other about this because honestly, I wasn't invested in him to start. Then he died. I know that they used him as an example. It was for the rest of the other squad. I guess they could have slipped us out, could have tried to trick us more, but I didn't want to spend more time with him if he was just going to die anyway. So the character didn't matter to me to start. It didn't matter to me to finish. It wasn't a big part of the movie.
Right.
It was almost like,
Well,
why is he in it, I guess?
I guess
Okay.
I'm saying that's a problem. You know, if like you're throwing in a character to not care about, and you don't care about, like that to me is not like because you need to further the plot. That's not an excuse. Like that's an opportunity to
the audience who might not know what exactly is going on with these things in their brain.
Just gonna say that if you know the history of Suicide Squad, you know exactly what that is. But if you're just a casual viewer, you're like. If you're just a casual viewer, you're like, what are those little pistol-looking thingies?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, bam, the explosion. You're like, oh, that's what that is. So we got to look at it from both perspectives. From our perspective, we're like, okay, they could have explained it a little bit. They could have given Slipknot an intro to fool us. But for a regular casual viewer, it's almost like a nice shock. Like, oh, God, that's what they have in the back of their heads?
Yeah, we need to know that Amanda Waller means business, and therefore Rick Flag means business. And so it needs to happen with somebody. At some point, we needed to see somebody's head explode.
And that was what they did accomplish.
Yeah, and they did it.
Well, let's move on to Jay Hernandez as Diablo. I know, I can't wait.
Let me start. Take this one.
please.
You take it away, Mikey
My
Christmas.
biggest surprise
Yep.
and my favorite character in the film. He was the guy I was like, I don't like this character. You know, it's just the tattoos and everything. It's a cool design, but I'm just not invested in him. So, and I was like, he'll probably be a minor character. Who cares? You know, but first of all, Jay Hernandez was phenomenal acting-wise.
So good.
He had a character arc. He was incredibly important to the story. He is one of the reasons they win in the end.
And you know what? A good job at making them, and overall, again, another thing that was a very big positive, like they started as villains and they ended the film as villains. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like nobody was like fully redeemed in this movie. Like they did make them villains. They made them bad guys.
And now, were you guys saying if we saw that David Ayer, this is that Hernandez, El Diablo character in his home life, that is Ayer's kind of, he gravitates towards, which one of you guys said that? Where that
Well, yeah, it seems to be like the surrogate character for him because I know he's a Latino guy, and like you know he definitely has always had strong Latino characters in his films, like Training Day, like which he wrote, like great characters, you know, great like.
So the home life with the wife and the kids, it just resonated. Like I was like, there's investment in this, and it just played so real to me.
Yeah,
so real. I loved him.
Yeah,
loved him.
Yeah, Diablo, they made him a very big power. His powers were a big deal. Really surprising transformation that happened in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it too. Didn't expect it. But then that's what I'm talking about. Like here, you build the character up, and then he does eventually get killed, right? I mean, he does not make it out of this film, right? Like he transformed, and then he was like, he sacrificed himself, so he got redeemed.
Yeah, but he got killed within the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, which was great. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see that redemption. That's the way he gets redeemed because there was no redeeming him. He killed his wife and kids. You know, that was the way he made the big sacrifice. He had redemption, so he had a complete arc.
Yeah, but the last thing we needed, I agree they did him perfectly, but the last thing we needed was another one of those with Slipknot who waited around the entire movie. We had to invest our time in him and then him to die at the very end. We needed to see early on this is what's happening. So I don't think it's fair to compare those two.
No, I think the Slipknot thing was perfect.
Right.
It served its purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think with El Diablo what was great is that he was the one who was hesitant to use his powers, which was very cool because we had different levels of interest and hesitancy here, as opposed to a lot of movies where you're trying to get a team together. Everybody is debating being on the team, but once they're on, they're like, okay, I can be bad now. He was never debating going onto this team. He was debating actually unleashing the beast inside him.
He didn't want to be a criminal anymore.
Right, which was very different than what we saw from the other characters and something I wasn't expecting. And that's why when he did get emotional, I didn't even feel like, oh, come on, man, just do it. I felt like I see this. I see the problem here. I see why he's really struggling with this decision.
And it helped open up the meta-humans. It was a nice kind of what's the word? Organic way to introduce meta-humans. He wasn't in an accident somewhere. This is a kind of a birth thing that's kind of, you know, with the other characters in the film. That kind of how it plays in at the end. That's like really nice mythology building.
Yeah, I thought Jay Hernandez was just absolutely phenomenal in this movie.
Who's next?
Really rooted for him, and I'm gonna say, I'm putting him right up there with Harley's performance.
I think so.
So top three, you think are those like your three favorites?
Only because I would put him above those Harley and Will Smith because I didn't even expect this at all. I thought he was gonna be whatever. I don't care about him.
Well, Jay Hernandez
Harley I knew was going to be great.
Well, Jay Hernandez is a really good actor.
But I didn't know if they were going to put him with, have two lines at the end and make kind of like a step above Slipknot.
I want to talk about Jai.
Okay.
Please, because here we go. This is going to be a decisive... a decisive battle here.
All right, it's
Wow.
gonna get ugly.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I have never had a problem with Jai. I have always liked Jai. I know that's really unpopular amongst everybody, but I think that he is very talented. And in this movie, it was probably my favorite thing I've ever seen him in. I thought he was funny. I thought he was endearing. I thought he was different than the other characters. I thought he was weird, like a little rat. I thought he nailed it, and there wasn't that much. It wasn't like he was in a crazy amount, and you were like, "Oh my God, get this guy off the screen." When he was there, the beard thing was funny. He had a light sense about him. I believed his character, and I am so sick of people crapping on Jai Courtney when I don't know. I think it's just like a man thing. Like people have like a macho problem with him or something because everyone hates on Jai Courtney. What am I not seeing?
No, I loved him in Spartacus. Loved him in Jack Reacher.
That can't be true because you've come in here a million times and been like, I hate Jai Courtney, Jai Courtney, Jai Courtney.
Because he's terrible. And
That's a direct quote.
Terminator, Genesis, terrible.
Do I sound like him?
Terrible. So I went in going, he plays those bad guys really well. And that's what I've always said on the show. He plays bad guys really well. He was boring AF.
Oh my God, I didn't think so at
Oh
all.
yeah?
Wait.
He threw his boomerang once to do a reconnaissance.
I
Is that
think
Jai
twice.
Courtney's,
I
is
think
that
there were
Jai
two
Courtney's fault?
boomerangs,
Oh my
yeah.
God, Jai, you must have decided that you only wanted to throw it
Wait,
once.
I recall him throwing a boomerang at least 3 times in the film, don't you?
How many
the guy
boomerangs
that
we got?
played Arrow,
You
him
just
on
mean
Arrow.
one time where he used it to
Yeah.
actually
Yes.
figure
His
something out.
his opening scene, he threw the boomerang at that guy. He threw it for reconnaissance, and he threw it at least 1 or 2 other times, I recall.
Yeah.
Give me a great line that he said in the movie.
It wasn't about... Why? Why do I have to give you a line?
So what was cool? So his little moments of stealing the
So
pink
you
panda?
mean you want me to compliment the writer?
His unicorn.
Because
He
that's
had a
not what I thought
unicorn,
the actor's
strange
job
stuffed
was.
unicorn fetish.
You know what's funny? I don't know much about Jai. I'll say this. I don't know much about Jai Courtney because I don't get a chance to see a ton of movies. All I know about him is what you guys have said. And based off what you guys have said about him, I was more than pleasantly surprised with how his performance.
He's forgettable to me. I can't tell you a great thing he did in that movie. You know what he did? He got caught by the Flash, which was awesome.
Which is Jai Courtney's fault again? You think?
Oh, so now we're blaming on that. You have to make it memorable, even if you have little. It's not a matter of the small part; it's the actor's job.
Everything he did, to me, he did the
I
best
can't remember
job
what he
could
did
do.
good. I can't remember what he did that was great.
You just talked about him throwing the boomerang. We already talked about him with the beer. We talked about him coming out at the end, him leaving the
his
bar.
performance was influenced by his taking of psilocybin mushrooms. I understand. That's a fun fact. That's kind of why he was kind of
Swerve,
like
Johnny?
off to his own.
I don't know anything about mushrooms. I don't know if you.
Oh,
can-
I could speak extensively. As you know, I am a cook, and I have
those kind of
do
mushrooms.
all kinds of fungus. You know,
okay.
you have to when you start cooking, you have to experiment with all of them: truffle, psilocybin, beach mushrooms, oysters.
I like truffle.
I will say this:
All the legumes.
I liked Jai Courtney's boomerang a lot. It is one of my more favorite things I've seen him do. But I will say that all the best stuff was given away in the trailer, and there was
Yeah, it
not
was
much
in the
more
trailer.
after that.
But
And
that was an editor, right, Roxy? That wasn't Jai Courtney's fault.
No. How does that make any sense? It was his performances in the
Here's my
trailer.
question though. What exactly okay when you watch? And I know it's hard because you've only seen it twice. It's hard to remember everything. Going back on what he did, so you just think that what he did wasn't good enough, or do you think that they didn't give him enough good stuff?
No, I think he was fine.
Yeah.
I think he was fine. Like, he wasn't a bad actor.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there was a Captain Boomerang as the main bad guy in a Flash film, he'd be great. He just didn't do anything in this film. There
Right.
was just
So he just
was
didn't leave you with a
always
lot.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not saying Jai was bad in the role. I think if he is a standalone Flash villain, he will kill it. He, to me, works great when he's doing villains. As John Connor in Terminator, he's terrible.
You know what I did like about it.
He was
I
a
will say,
villain
if
in this
you know,
movie.
I know,
just
and he's good.
Mike, to
But-
call out because you were like, what was the line or everything? I thought that he had an ease about him, and maybe it was that he was playing an Aussie, and that's his natural state. Like, he just had an easy, fun vibe about him, and he added to the mix. You know, he added a great flavor to the Suicide Squad, and I wish that. It seemed like they petered out with what they were doing with his character, and like at some
Yes.
point they didn't give him enough to do, and he didn't have a great arc.
Right.
But what was going on with the unicorn? It was a lot of quirk, which I think I'm picking up that you're like, all right, it's a lot of quirk, but it was not built around anything, and there was no arc.
Thank you.
Right, so you have a
I hear
problem with
that.
the character, not the actor.
Oh my, I didn't say I've liked him in certain
Yeah.
things he's always done.
Die. Guys, we have to talk about Enchantress.
Okay, let's go
right.
right to Enchantress.
Jump right into it.
Oh, you're doing the dance
Now you got to talk about it while he does it.
Here's the deal. I was so underwhelmed by Enchantress being the villain in this film.
Enchantress.
They didn't show it in marketing. They
Enchantress.
obviously were trying to keep it a secret.
But a female villain, that's cool, right?
Having a female villain is a cool concept, of course, Johnny.
Yeah,
and
her brother was the
I
real
really
villain.
like that you brought that up because it doesn't happen very often in movies, especially these major tentpole franchise. All these movies where the big bad has to be either a scary man or whatever. So I did like the idea of having a female villain.
Yeah.
That being said,
And Amanda Waller, it's
way-
really kind of two villains.
That's
too.
the way this happened looked
Yeah.
so goofy.
I think.
It had a Ghostbusters feel to it.
Yeah.
A
It was goofy.
an original Ghostbusters.
Here's my big thing. All right, so Amanda Waller like tracks down this whole team, and then Enchantress, she's like cool with hanging out in the open because she knows that like Rick Flag is gonna watch her because he's in love with her, as she planned. But she was okay with taking no precautions. Like it's just so weird that like she left
Well, she had the heart. That's
Right.
the precaution.
her out in the right. She had the heart, and then that's she just betrayed Rick Flag like in an instant, and then went and got her brother, which was
And the brother part was
weird.
Oh, can we answer this, please? Because I'm of two minds, and I hope this wasn't the case. Common is in the film, completely effing wasted.
Wait,
But-
I thought so. Was Common the brother, or
That's
was
the
he
thing.
the guy in
He's
the club?
called- people are calling him Monster T. That's his character. I was like,
Yeah.
he wasn't the monster in the subway. And I'm like,
thought he was-
please.
No, Common was Tattoo Man.
Yeah, he was the guy that like
But-
tried to get Harley Quinn, right?
Common was
Yeah.
in about 14 seconds of the movie.
Okay, so because people online are going, he was great as her brother. I go, he's not her
No,
brother, guys. But I didn't want to
no.
pull another Jimmy Olsen bit. So I had to see it again. And Common,
Common was in one scene in the
Thank you.
club when he pissed off Joker, and Joker shot him in the head.
Thank you. But everyone online is saying that he was the brother. And I'm like, no, he wasn't.
No.
He's not. He was a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
That some random guy.
So
Not even
we
close
all
to
pretty
being
much agree that Enchantress was a little underwhelming as a
I was-
villain.
I
as a
don't even
threat.
think it was Cara Delevingne's fault. I just think the concept of I didn't love her performance, but I liked her as
she didn't help.
I liked her as June.
June Moon.
June Moon.
I liked her as June.
The part to me I loved and that he nailed was the original mysticism where she puts her hand out and the hand grabbed it
Yeah.
and turned over.
That was
We
cool.
needed more of that. That was more of the mythical stuff we needed instead of
Yeah,
kind of
and then just to spin off the Enchantress thing, another thing that was not my favorite in the film, and this is here. Here I was like, I thought this would have been better as a rated R movie. And I thought that after I saw it, and one of the reasons is because of the drones that the Enchantress has to make, all these like,
yeah.
you know, and we talked about that,
it,
like
yeah.
that you need these cannon fodder victims for like them to beat up, and I felt like if it's rated R, you don't need to do that. And I wanted to see that, and I honestly, I wasn't thinking that beforehand, but afterwards I'm like, that movie would have been better if it was rated R.
I agree.
It could have
Also-
gone there more, and it could have had more stakes and more blood, and
They had the villain.
that.
They could have more blood. They had the villain doing all these things, and these different tentacles are going at people. And then 5 seconds later, they're totally just chilling.
Yeah.
They're like, "All right, I'm feeling good now." It just
I see what you're saying,
the villain was so underwhelming, and that's a massive part of the film.
But to me, the real villain is Waller.
yeah, absolutely.
and she
Enchantress
wasn't
is a-
underwhelming. I thought that Viola did a good job.
Yeah, Enchantress was the secondary villain. But Waller's the real kind of head
Should we
game.
talk about Jay now? Should we talk about
You don't want to talk
Mr.
about
J?
Viola?
No, yeah, we'll get to. I guess maybe that's the natural segue. We're
Let's
talking
not
I felt like
about
it was a
Viola.
good
Let's
transition.
not
Okay.
forget Katana, Killer Croc. I mean, we got a couple.
Yeah, okay.
we
So
have to
let's
talk
let's
about
let's pick
Killer
up the
Crocs?
pace.
All
We
right,
got to
we
move
pick up
around.
the pace.
All right, that's
All
fine.
right, so quick thoughts.
So
All right, Amanda Waller.
Viola did a good job, a fine job. Honestly, it wasn't a huge deal for me in this movie.
No, I think
Had
she-
no problems with Amanda Waller. Did not like her. Thought she was a
Right.
really wicked person. One of the most wicked people in the film, and I think that's great. I think
And we
that's
saw
the point.
that when she killed all
That's
her
the
people.
best.
That was a good.
Yeah, when she
that
straight-
showed the stakes
Yeah.
in this film.
And that also kind of like to me compromised Rick Flag because now I'm like, all right, that guy lets that happen. Like, what am I supposed to think about Rick
Right,
Flag?
right, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know
he
where to
wasn't-
fall on him.
He wasn't that bummed about it either. He was like, "Oh man."
No, he's like that shit happens.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
is what he
right.
said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Viola Davis is amazing, and we're looking forward to seeing more of her as Amanda Waller.
Speaking of Rick Flag.
Moving on, Katana. As good as she could have been for that character.
She was very underutilized to me.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary to even have her in the film
Katana,
at times, but-
wasn't. I don't know why she was in the movie, and another one of those things where it's like, this is a great character if you spent time building the legend of the character. Like, just she shows up on the plane
talking
and
about
she's
her
like,
husband. And
she's got a sword that's swallowing souls. Like, I think that's a lot for an audience to swallow without delving into that.
I think they should have gone the opposite way with her. It is a great character, but they should have utilized her more, and this should have been Boba Fett in this film. not know anything about her.
Okay, or
and
yeah,
just
go
there.
the other way.
Yeah,
should've
that would
gone
work
that
for me
way.
too, because also I couldn't tell
That's
if
interesting,
in this,
Mike.
Yeah,
it
make her the
sounded
Boba
like
Fett.
it almost sounded like they were making a joke. None of them believed that her husband was in the sword, and that she was like, "It's crazy woman talking to the sword." I didn't know what they wanted
I
us
think
to
with
believe.
her, less is more. We shouldn't have gotten the soul talking stuff and just been there and let
She
that
should have
come out
gotten the
much
Silent
later.
Bob treatment. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Like, to give her a little bit of an explanation is almost like, whoa.
Yeah.
What do you mean the
Just
soul's in the sword?
always have her
Whereas
be-
if she's
have-
doing it and you're asking the question,
Have one
that's
scene
interesting.
like, hey, you gonna help us out here? And she just goes in and kicks ass with the sword and then just stops and walks away. And they're
Yeah.
all like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been.
Moving on really quick, because we actually do have some stuff. We're going to have to run down these stories fast. Killer Croc. I know you're... Go ahead.
He was the worst
Make
part.
it quick.
He was the absolute worst part of the movie.
Can we agree, finally, you and
yeah,
me?
oh my god. He was the absolute worst part
I
of the movie.
wanted to love him.
At the end with the whole...
Terrible.
Yeah,
But this
he
the Croc
he just
walk into the
all he
water?
wants is to watch BET. I don't understand how
I
they
mean,
could have effed
That's
this
more
character
offensive than
up.
Mikey Christmas on a bad day. I mean,
Hey
to be
now!
honest.
They effed this character up so bad. He was
why?
Why?
How could...
Counterpoint,
Oh, he was
I
terrible.
thought the makeup looked
No,
amazing.
his face looked
skinny.
great.
I
but
was
the pro-
so glad. I didn't mind that because he's a
No, the
mutated
problem
freak.
is that actor is huge, but they
Yeah.
put the prosthetic, a big head, and then the shoulders. They didn't do any other prosthetic
Body.
work, so it was a huge head.
What did you
with
guys
the
think of
skinny
Killer Croc? I
body.
see some people really love
But
Killer Croc in the
online,
chat
that's
room.
what I'm talking about. Everyone is loving him.
I don't
so
get
Rox,
it.
Yeah.
I don't
get it.
Guys, go
What
see
did
it.
What
Let
did you
us
guys
know.
think of the voice of Killer Croc?
I
They
hated
kind
it.
of gave him a Louisiana kind of thing.
I
like-
hated the voice. I hated the
pretty. I'm pretty. Is that
every
what he said?
line he said.
We both.
Every line
Rox,
he said. I was
you
like,
out
why?
loud cringed
I
laugh.
yeah,
And not in a good way.
No, nobody else in the theater's laughing. I
And
was
you
like,
guys know me. I wanted him out of everyone to
Yeah.
be great. I don't want to see him in another Batman film. He's done. Let him. He's done. Come
Yeah.
on. It was bad.
Again,
I
this is
agree.
just another example of like, it's just a lot to build, and this is a great character, but you could spend a lot of time explaining that character and making it really interesting and sympathetic.
There were a few things. Now, I don't hate Killer Croc at all. I number one, I thought the visual was really great. There are a couple lines that were not necessary. There's a couple lines there that I felt was forced comedy. And being a stand-up comic for 11 years, I can see forced comedy. You guys can see forced comedy. The BET line was not necessary.
No.
The I'm beautiful. That was
The
so
BET
predictable.
line was playing to the actor, not the character. He should have said something like Animal Planet or something. That would have been a
Exactly.
cute, like, chuckle.
it
So-
was so weird.
Yeah,
Now,
Animal Planet.
granted, now we
Planet.
saw a picture of him. Did we see a picture of him prior to being mutated in the film? I don't remember.
Never. No, he's
So
always
that's
born
the,
like that.
So that's the thing is
I think you could still see him in a Batman film, but as a minor character earlier in the film, as like
Yeah.
a throwaway first act
A
villain.
little prologue
Yeah.
James Bond.
there were a
thing.
couple lines he had that I absolutely loved. Then there were a couple like the BET one. It just didn't make sense
What
to me.
the hell?
There's
it's
nothing
terrible.
I dislike more than like forced comedy when it's not necessary.
Oh
and
my
and
God.
every film does it. Even The Hangover is supposed to be the greatest R-rated film of all time. There's some forced comedy there that's just not funny.
Okay.
There's some things you don't have to force.
Okay,
Rick
who do
Flag.
we have left?
Yeah, Rick Flag.
Let me say this real
Go
quick.
ahead.
A better actor should have been cast. Not a better actor, a different actor should have been cast in the role. Rick Flag, or the actor Joel Kinnaman, has that kind of skeezy vibe about him, where he plays. He would have made a great villain on the Squad. But Rick Flag, you needed a strong, because he counterpoints Deadshot. Great, they're both killers. Just one does it for his country, one does it for money, and you needed that. But Rick Flag, you kind of saw he had this shadiness about him. You need a guy that is Captain America.
Yeah.
Straight, I'm doing this for my country, this is what we're
Yeah.
going to do. But then you see the confliction there, and we didn't see that. But also, if you watch this film, Joel Kinnaman...
But he's not Captain America because he sees that, Waller just like straight up assassinate those
and
people.
you needed
he
someone
lets
to
it
go, what
yeah.
the hell am I got myself into?
Yeah.
This is not what I signed up for. But if you notice, Joel Kinnaman has 2 different hairstyles in the film. And that
interesting.
shows to his scenes got recut or reshot a lot. He has the short buzz cut, but then he's also got a really long and slick back. And they did it to make it look similar. That was a sign where he's like, oh, these are the reshoots what happened with him.
Got it.
I
He
think
also
his
got some
story-
really extra corny lines too. It seems like they
Oh,
gave
what was the
his
one?
character.
What was the one? The
Oh,
bombs in
the
our
bombs,
heart.
Now we can get him.
I was like,
oh, the bombs in our heart. Now we
Let's
can-
not forget we were
was
supposed
so
to get
bad.
Tom Hardy.
That's
so-
what I'm saying. Tom
I
Hardy
mean, Tom
would have
Hardy.
been...
Tom Hardy's one of my favorite actors there is. I
Because
love
of
him.
This
but
Means Love or War, right? Well, your
This
favorite.
means war.
I
If it
will
was This
say
Means
this,
Love,
though,
it wouldn't have
guys.
been a movie. But okay.
I know. I just want to say we did not hear for sure. Now, check me if I'm wrong. We did not hear for sure that Scott Eastwood is not Dick Grayson.
He
He never said my name's not
died.
Dick Grayson in the movie.
He died.
I heard him. You didn't hear
I didn't
him?
see his body.
He actually turned and he said out loud, "My name is not Dick Grayson." Everybody in the theater clapped. You missed that part?
I did go get popcorn at one time.
And lastly, Joker. Let's move on.
What about the Big J?
And by the way, I had no problem with Rick Flag because Mikey hated on him. I liked his performance. Just so you know, the Joker.
You guys are going back and forth. It's like even. I want a tally of
The Joker was not in the movie very often. He just didn't show up that much. When he
it
was,
leads into
I
a
enjoyed
story.
him.
Apparently, some scenes were cut, according to Jared Leto, which I assume is a WB decision, which leads into the backstage drama that supposedly happened. David Ayer had his cut, WB had their cut, and I think when it came down to it, I think Joker was probably a little too dark than what WB wanted, and that's probably why some of his scenes got cut.
I didn't feel like we needed him in the movie anymore, honestly, even though I liked him.
I agree with Roxy on this one. I loved how Joker was used in this film to tell Harley's story.
Yeah,
This was
exactly.
not his story, but
He's
it
not in the
really
squad.
grounded her story. And I gotta say, from what I saw, I loved his performance. It's hard to everyone's gonna compare it to the guy that just won a freaking posthumous Oscar for the
You wanna know
role.
what's weird though, Adam? Everybody's comparing him to both Jack and to Heath. People are like, "Oh, he
Right.
took parts of both of them," and
even Cesar Romero, I've heard some
Yeah.
people
Right.
compare.
I think the fact that this is our Joker in this universe is fantastic. To see the fact that he's going to eventually show up against Batman, that to me, we've got a great Joker, I think, with him.
yeah, I'm
We didn't
excited
need
to
more.
see
And
more,
I
but we
loved.
didn't need it now.
I gotta say, I think my favorite scene in the movie was when he throws her in the vat, and then the look on his face and the way he dives in after her, and then the embrace, the Alex Ross kind of like.
Let's do this real quick.
Oh, boy.
Favorite scenes. How about we say that? Favorite scenes.
Sure.
Let's do that to wrap it up. We got anyone else in the group?
That was I guess
covered
that
all
was
the characters,
probably
right?
mine.
Yeah, we covered all the characters. The one thing that we didn't talk about at all was the soundtrack, which I just wanted to say I thought they nailed. I thought that they did a really great job, and their selections were recent, but also old school and different. I love the way they introduced the different characters with different
so you
songs.
liked in the graphics. I think that was different but great.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah, me
I've
too.
seen
Do you
some
believe the
negativity
hype
online
that
about
was
but I
something that
liked
was
it.
like added outside of Air? That,
Well, there's rumors that remember the first trailer that came out,
Right.
And that I didn't like, and a lot of people did like, but didn't. And then they released that trailer with the Bohemian Rhapsody, and everyone went nuts.
Yeah.
That was a company that did that. So WB went to
Right.
that company and told them to edit the
Oh
film.
yeah, Trailer Park. I know.
Yes.
That. Yeah, they're right in Hollywood here.
So it's a different thing. That music, I think, and those graphics and everything, that's a post-production thing.
Yeah, I liked that.
But it worked. It set it different from BVS, but kept it in the same world.
yeah.
Roxy Striar, favorite scene.
I'm gonna do a favorite moment, which
do.
was when Deadshot was going to shoot down Harley, and she dropped down and she like pretended to be dead for a second, and then and kind of came back up.
Interesting.
I thought that was an awesome moment, and I loved the chemistry between them. That was probably my favorite part of that.
For
them.
me, and again, it's probably the odd man out, the scene with Deadshot shooting Batman, where he says, because we talk about growth and it's not the Batman we love, that showed growth from BVS. This is a Batman that before would have beat the hell out of him in front of his daughter and left him there just mangled. Well, he just let him surrender himself. We're seeing growth with the characters in this universe building forward.
But I will say that I will argue that in the chronology of the films, that scene was before Batman v Superman.
No. Because he just got arrested by him.
You
Waller
think
said,
he just got so
Waller said I put a word out. I got someone that's gonna go get him for me.
Okay, so he hasn't been in jail a long time.
No, I think that was
Okay.
Yeah,
That's possible.
favorite scene.
I said mine was between Joker and Harley and the
vat.
acid and the
Yeah,
vat
that
and
was
the Ace
amazing.
Chemicals. Like that was just beautiful. Like watch
And it was Ace Chemicals. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I love his laugh too. I do love the laugh that
we got-
everybody's.
Yeah, when
her
Joker
in-
lays down in that circle of weapons, then you have the
Yeah.
baby clothes on
Yeah,
the outside.
the baby clothes.
I mean, that goes back to the comics.
How about
back in the
talking
day.
about we had the flashback and they were him without the makeup on? It's just like, oh my god, you're so creepy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a little bit off the grain. My favorite scene, the one that sticks out to me most, I just love El Diablo, is when Deadshot's right in his face because Diablo's just not doing anything. He finally, Will Smith gets to him. He just sets everything on fire, and afterwards you just see like the remorse that he has, like, oh, damn it, not again.
Yeah.
I really just enjoyed. Then of course the scene where he burns down his family and the entire house. All right, we gotta get some news.
Oh wait, I just
now.
want to say some people are pointing out that Deadshot was in jail for 9 months. So then you have to describe whether you think this is more or less than 9 months after the events of BVS.
Right.
So
Well, it was definitely a change in Batman's character.
yeah,
There you go.
And a lot of talk about Flash in here too.
Which was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was really cool.
Flash
And I
was
like Bruce at the end, by the way.
So we already mentioned about Joker scenes being cut according to Jared Leto. He said he hopes they see the light of day at some point. Gal Gadot also revealed what her workout is, and there are a couple of pictures of her working out. She really enjoys boxing, and that's how she gets in shape for Justice League.
Don't
one
you just
shot
want
of
to
her.
be in the room while she's boxing?
There was just one shot of her
that.
where
Smell
her
her
arms
sweat.
are ripped.
Yeah.
She's huge.
Yeah, so that's how
For
she's
her.
been in shape. She's been essentially playing Wonder Woman for 2 years now, so she has to be in amazing shape. We already talked about the backstage drama.
I haven't been on with you guys since Comic-Con.
yeah, that's right.
And, I mean, I just want to say, like, kudos, props. Like, how about how Wonder Woman's,
Her
Trailer?
films.
Looks
the
amazing.
trailer was, like, a lot of people's favorite.
Going to say that real quick, they were talking about Suicide Squad. Everyone should know that this film was already done after when BVS was put out.
Right.
So the critical reaction we're talking about with the course correction will not be
Doesn't
felt
affect
with
this.
this film. And Wonder Woman
Barely,
somewhat,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
Jeff Johns is credited as the writer, but there was an original script that they all kind of finally took over
And molded.
Justice League will be the first film where we finally see Jeff Johns president going
But
forward with the tone.
that leads in. Go ahead.
Post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene, too. That
Yes.
people were wanting us to talk
So
about.
do you think that Amanda Waller, somebody pointed this out, Jack Fern and I were talking on Twitter, he's pretty convinced that Amanda Waller knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman at this point. Like, was
It
that
was
clear
tough.
to
That's
you?
what she said by the end. She said about
Stop
night.
working at nights?
Yeah.
Stop working nights?
To me, it
She
definitely
knows.
seems that.
If she knows everything about the rest of the Justice League members, I think she knows that he's Batman.
A lot of people have been asking, where are Batman and Wonder Woman during this movie? Like, where have they been? What are they up to? So that will be interesting to see.
And
how they fit it
Flash,
in.
since Flash is there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll find out at some point. But yeah, we already talked about a little bit of the backstage drama with Suicide Squad. 2 separate cuts, Ayer and WB. The question is, will WB ever just give Jeff Johns and the rest of the crew free reign? Probably not, because they're Warner Brothers and they're a massive thing. Apparently, the movie has to make $700 to $800 million
I don't get
to
that.
break even.
I don't
which,
We
get
know
that.
you don't.
But this is on track for the largest opening weekend
What does
in
that
August.
mean? What does that mean?
This is the last time we talked about how you have to make money, and you were like, why do you have to make this amount of
But
money?
why that number? What is that number to hit?
Because apparently it was that expensive. I don't know. But
To be a success.
it's on track to have the greatest
doesn't
opening
make
weekend
sense
of
to
an
me.
August movie.
I know.
We're looking at 130 to 140
Well, explain
million.
it to
Someone
me.
said in the chat roll that it made $20 million on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's slated to be.
And
100.
here's the other thing. I think that this movie is going to be more well received by audiences than BVS because it doesn't strive to be so self-important and dour. You know, while you might have problems with it, it's hard not to have some fun with this movie. And the big problem with BVS was like people were like, well, I didn't even like have fun with it. It was like it was a bummer.
Yeah.
So I think people will be able to have a good time with this movie, and I think that's going to
But
help it a lot.
Just real quick to say, because I know I got your point where you guys said, Mike, this is Batman Superman. It should make $1 billion. There's no major character in this film that's headlining the film that's like, oh, it's Deadshot. A Deadshot movie has to make $1 billion to be successful. So where is the number? It only cost $160 million to make this film. That was with marketing and everything. $160 million, they said. So where is the? It's got.
I don't think that's with marketing. I don't think that's with
okay. So
marketing.
marketing another $100 million.
Call it $300 million
yeah.
all in.
So it's got to make $750 to $800 million to break even.
Yep.
Where?
I don't
not
know.
to not to break even. Is that what you're trying to do when you make a film? Break even? I don't
But
think
there's-
so. You think about
No,
all the time you
this,
put into
this
this.
article claims $750 million to break even. Why I don't know.
I don't know where that number
I think
comes from.
that they don't mean to break even. I think they mean to be considered a success.
But it's on pace for a $130 to $140 million opening weekend, which is a huge debut for August. Really good article about Suicide Squad Easter eggs. Go to bustle.com, check that out. Eugene Brave Rock is definitely in Wonder Woman. We just don't know what character he's playing, but he is probably that Native American man
Yes.
right there in the
There you
photo.
go.
standing
Apache
next to Wonder
Chief.
Woman. Yes.
Oh god, that'd be awesome.
Someone said posted like a thing like he's the ancestor of Apache Chief, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Oh god, you're so racist, Mikey. Okay, what's next? No,
Wait, pause.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I get it all, but I'm so sorry.
Mike's so mad at the side of the table. I just tried to rub his arm and he was not having
That
it.
was a really cheap shot.
There's
guys.
also
I
a really good
apologize.
article on moviepilot.com about Easter eggs and the Killing Joke. If you want to check those out, of course, most of us already seen that. And now, do you want to do TV time really quick?
It's time, it's time, it's
we got a couple
time,
things, gotta get 'em done real fast.
I think the booth has abandoned us.
Yeah, he hates us too. Girl is an idiot. They mean to break even. I'm girl.
I like how the guy who's calling
Calling me
insults, his
girl.
name is Extra Rare Trump Steak. That's the guy that's
See, someone even said, he's like, I knew that was Apache Chief. Thank you.
There you go.
Fans that grew up in the 80s with the Superpowers cartoon. That's right.
Apache
Not an
Chief.
idiot,
right.
Trump. You tell him,
Guess who
Retro.
just blocked him? You're blocked, Trump user. Suck it. All right, TV time. Roxy, go.
Roxy go. Well, Superman go. Because Superman all over the place, and we've got some lovers of Superman here. We saw him in action a little bit. We saw his costume
Let's
last
talk
week.
on you guys are hating on him. Because I'll talk about how I love him.
Well, you know what I
You guys
loved
hate him.
was
You said he's ugly. You said he's a funky-looking
So
human being.
don't be a dickhead right now, Mike.
Oh my
I was
God.
just saying.
I
Did it.
loved the shot that I saw on Twitter
Okay.
of somebody like caught from their hotel room. That
Yes.
fight that we think was with Metallo.
Metallo, he's got a kryptonite in his chest.
I haven't seen Superman hand-to-hand combat like that in quite a long time. I thought it was pretty interesting. I liked it. Looked good. Yeah, I mean, you were saying he's not as jacked as Cavill, but you had a good point that
Superman doesn't need to be muscular. He's all right. We'll say this. I know he needs to. He's drawn this way, but he's a Kryptonian on Earth. Our yellow sun gives him his powers. His giant muscles don't make him
I
Superman.
think he's got more of a George Reeves look to him. Like,
They're all posting these memes about him next to Stephen Amell on set. It's like, oh, that funny moment when Oliver Queen's bigger than Superman. It doesn't matter. It's like, why the body shaming that goes on online with people is just kind of it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting choice in the costume. The way the cape connects to the emblem like that, it's a bold choice. I'm excited to see how they're going to do the effects on him. Like they've done great effects on the CW on Flash. The Martian Manhunter was great on Supergirl. I heard an interesting thing. I think John Campea said it the other day. Like he was afraid that like they were going to use Superman to kind of like, to use your wrestling term, like to put to Supergirl over.
Sure.
To sort of like, Superman's going to be in there, but it's Supergirl's show. So you can't have Superman upstaging Supergirl, or maybe that's the point, and then that sets her off on her second season.
Speaking of Supergirl, Callista Flockhart is coming back as Cat Grant in a returning guest star role, and also we have cast the role of Lex Luthor's sister Merlin. So that has also happened as well.
Yeah. I liked that show. I know a lot of people didn't, but I liked that show. All the additions are making me really excited for it to come back.
We also have Commander Steele has been cast on Legends of Tomorrow as well, Matthew McCall.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see. That show's got a lot going on right now.
There's a lot. I'm interested because there's a lot of characters that are not signed for one show this year, right? Like there's like characters that are going to be appearing across multiple different
series regulars on different shows.
And then did I hear that Grant Gustin said that Flashpoint is not going to last the entire season?
Yes,
Yeah.
he came out and said that recently.
Which I'm very excited about, actually, because I don't want it to take us all the way into next season. I want to see the aftermath, a little bit of that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Your guys' favorite show on the planet, Gotham. But if you guys remember how we left off, we saw what looked like Bruce's doppelganger that had been created. And he was talking a little bit about that at Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. So he's confirming that he does play the two different characters. When he was asked, is he a villain, though? He said, obviously, I can't tell you who or what or why he is. Maybe... possibly my mouth is closed. So
there you go.
That's what we got from David.
And lastly, coming to the Cartoon Network, Justice League Action is going to have 152 characters in season 1. They're calling it a high-octane approach with humor. That's going to pretty much cover everybody.
I'm excited about that. Those are like short episodes, though, right? They're
11
like,
minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a panel at Comic-Con on it. It seems like a really cool... It seems like a good blend between... Justice League Unlimited and Brave and the Bold, kind of like
exactly.
Kind of area. And I'm just rewatching Justice League Unlimited on Netflix. That show was so good. That show was so damn good. That was cartoons. Mm-hmm. You guys watch those? No, I'm the only one.
I never get a chance.
All
to
right,
guys.
I don't Netflix and chill. I wish I could.
You guys at home watch Justice League Unlimited, right? Everyone? No.
When we close out, let's say our ratings for Suicide Squad too. What you give it out of 10?
Okay.
Adam, go for it.
Okay, I would say out of 10, I'm going to give Suicide Squad 6.5.
I think I gave BVS a 7.5, which I think I would now knock down a little lower after seeing it a few more times. But seeing Suicide Squad, which I've only seen once, as of right now, I would give it also a 7.5.
Okay, Mikey.
Very solid 8. Very solid 8.
Sure.
I'm seeing it again in about an hour. that might go up? Like BVS did go up?
Yeah,
after I
I've
saw
only
the
seen it
theatrical
once,
cut?
so it's hard to gauge because I've seen Batman v Superman like 5 times now at this
Right.
point, and the extended cut.
Same.
So it's hard to say. I'm definitely going to see Suicide Squad again.
And I'm
but
also
that's
going to
right.
go with Roxy and Mikey. I'm going to go in between a 7.5 and an 8 because, like I said, I went to see it yesterday. I had a small window, one shot to see it. I was exhausted. I had nothing to eat, and I was still invested and wide awake the entire time. And half the time, I pass out in movies anymore because I'm so tired. So I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it 7.5 to an 8.
Cool.
7.5 because Johnny stayed awake. Some people said that you didn't talk about Preacher. Did you want to say anything about the season finale?
Here's what I will say. You can watch the after show on AfterBuzz TV. We had Donnie who plays Derek in because we don't have that much time to talk about it. But wow, a lot going on in Preacher. I cannot wait for season 2.
It seems like they're finally going to get this show on the road.
Yeah.
Like literally, which is exciting.
Yeah, they're doing the damn thing now. So that's really, really cool. It was not underwhelming.
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I love that episode. And you know what? I'm okay with... I hope it becomes like the road show that I wanted in the first season, and then I'm okay. I mean, there was a lot of great stuff in the first season. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's all put ourselves over. Adam, go.
Okay, guys, you can find me at Adam Gertler on the social medias. Check out FX Movie Download on FX. We show all kinds of movies. And Man vs. Child on Thursday nights on FYI. And go to Doghouse Restaurants and eat my sausage.
You're
There
so
you go.
popular.
Roxy.
Guys, I'm Roxy Striar. You can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar. Yeah.
At Mike Kalinowski, you guys can find me out there. Happy birthday to my good friend Eggy over in England right now, buddy. It's probably
birthday, Eggy.
He's having some cake right now, but yeah, that's it.
There we go. At Jay Quasto, of course, Wrestling Compadres Slamcast on Fox Sports. Please follow us at Fox Compadres and subscribe. And I'm going to be gone the next 3 weeks. I'm about to leave. I know. I'm going to the Middle East on the Ringside Salute Tour. I'm very proud.
He's being a good dude and
going
shit.
with a bunch of really amazing people to entertain the troops and meet and greet and all that stuff. So we leave Monday. I can't say where we're going, but I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to be in New York for SummerSlam. So the next 3 weeks,
SummerSlam.
I'm going to be gone.
Dang.
But I'm going to miss everybody. And I'll post on social media when possible.
Are you
We're
gonna
at
watch all
DC
the
Movies
BET?
SK. We love you. Thanks for watching.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Kristian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.